Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao Ias Academy interview guidance program. So in this lecture we will be discussing about a very important topic. So one is ethics committee of the parliament, and the second topic we briefly discuss about the ozone layer. Okay, so the importance and where it is present, and what is the relevance of the ozone layer and the protocol that has been dealing with the ozone layer. And first we will discuss about the ethics committee in the parliament, because this is recently in news and there is a probability that you may get questions on this ethics committee of the parliament, because parliamentary committees are very important for the examination. So therefore, since ethics committee is in recently news, so we will also try to understand what does ethics committee, what does the meaning of ethics committee in the parliament. So if we go into the news, that recently Lok Sabha Ethics Committee has initiated a cash for Curie allegations or investigation over the cash for Curie allegations. Okay, so recently the cash for Curie allegations were made against one MP. She was from the Trinamool Congress. She was from Trinamool Congress of West Bengal. So right, so cash for Curie allegations were leveled against this particular MP from Lok Sabha. So therefore, the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee had initiated the investigation over these particular allegations against the accused who accept the bribes to ask questions in the parliament. Now, what was the allegation? The allegation was she accepted bribes to ask questions in the parliament. Right, she took up money to ask questions in the parliament. Right, so this was the allegation that was leveled against a TMC MP. Right, so in this context, what will be the potential outcomes of this whenever the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee has initiated such an investigation on a particular member? So it has the following outcomes. So the outcomes include, if Ethics Committee finds merit in the complaint, so if there is any merit in the complaint, that if Ethics Committee proves that, so whatever allegations that were leveled against this particular MP are true, it can make recommendations. Okay, so it can make a particular recommendations to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Right, so the potential punishment it can recommend typically involves the suspension of MP for a specified period of time. So if those allegations were true, found by the ethics committee of the Lok Sabha, so they can recommend the punishment. The punishment would be suspension of an MP for a specified period of time. Okay, so the house, which includes all member of parliament or all MPs, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, ultimately decide whether to accept the committee's recommendations and then determine the nature of or extent of the punishment, if any. Okay, so all the members of parliament in one particular house will decide whether to accept the recommendations of the ethics committee on that particular MP and determine the nature and extent of punishment. So after that, if the accused were to be expelled, okay, so if the MP is expelled from the house or to face potentially adverse decision, she could challenge this decision of the house before the court of law. Okay, so she could approach the court of law against the decision which was already taken by the house. So if she was expelled from the particular house, she can approach the court of law. So however, here certain grounds were mentioned. So based on these grounds, he or she can approach the court of law. So what are those grounds on which they can challenge this particular decision of the ethics committee and of the house? So it is limited to, the grounds are limited to include claims of unconstitutionality. So he or she was expelled from the house in an unconstitutional manner, and it is a gross illegality, and it is also denial of natural justice. So these are the three grounds based on which an MP can approach the law court for expelling her. Okay, so these are the three grounds. So however, if we talk about the ethics committee of the parliament, so both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have their own ethics committees. Okay, so each house of the parliament have their own ethics committees. Now here we will briefly understand the constitution, composition, appointment and term of ethics committees in both Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. Now, if we talk about the Rajya Sabha, the ethics committee of the Rajya Sabha was constituted or established in the year 1997, and when it comes to the Lok Sabha, it was established in the year 2000. And after that, we need to talk about the composition as well. So when we talk about the composition, it consists of 10 members. So that includes chairman as well. Okay, so the ethics committee of Rajya Sabha consists of 10 members, and that also includes the chairman of the ethics committee. And when it comes to the Lok Sabha, it consists of 15 members, and it also includes the chairman of the ethics committee. So when we talk about the appointment of the ethics committee, so in Rajya Sabha, it is nominated by the Rajya Sabha chairman. Now, who is the Rajya Sabha chairman? He is the Vice President of India. Okay, Vice President of India is the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So when it comes to the Lok Sabha, it is nominated by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. And each of these ethics committees also have a certain term. So the term of Rajya Sabha is 1 year, not exceeding 1 year, and Lok Sabha, it is also not exceeding 1 year. Okay, so this is a brief detail about the respective committees of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, ethics committees in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So after that, we will also try to understand the functions of these ethics committees. So what are the major functions the ethics committees actually perform? So they usually perform the following functions. Firstly, they will look into the moral and ethical conduct of the members of the parliament. Okay, so it is expected that in the parliament, the members have to the conduct of the members should be moral and ethical in nature. For example, in this case, the MP had taken bribe to ask questions in the parliament, so that can be considered as unethical way. So that can be considered as unethical behavior on the part of the MP. So therefore, the ethics committee of the parliament will oversee moral and ethical conduct of the members of parliament. Right? This is the first point. The second point, or the second function of the ethics committee, is that it examines the cases referred to it by the Speaker of Lok Sabha, by chairman in Rajya Sabha. For example, this essentially means that the ethics committees in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they examine the cases. Who gave the cases to these ethics committees? In case of Lok Sabha Speaker refer the cases to the ethics committee, and in case of Rajya Sabha, the chairman of Rajya Sabha refers certain cases to the ethics committee. Okay, so these cases essentially deal with the ethical and other misconduct, unethical, ethical, immoral conduct of the members in those respective houses. And apart from that, it also has certain other functions. So that include, it formulates a code of conduct for the members. So it is also important that the members should behave in an appropriate manner in the both houses of the parliament. So therefore, in order to ensure the appropriate behavior of these members, the ethics committee will ensure the code of conduct for the members in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So for that particular purpose, it will also suggest amendments to the existing code of conduct from time to time. So if this particular ethics committee feels that there's a need for amendment, then they would also suggest amendment to the existing code of conduct on time to time basis. Okay, so it can also tender advice to the members on different questions. So that particularly involves the ethical standards of the members, either suo motu or on receiving specific requests. So a member can make a specific request to the ethics committee of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and seek advice from those respective committees, right? So it can give advice to the members on the questions involving ethical standards. So these were the major functions of the ethics committee of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, so after that, we have to understand that it also looks into the complaints of ethics, right? So any person can make any complaint, or the committee may also take up the matters suo motu. Okay, so any person, in the sense that any MP or any member can make a complaint to the ethics committee, and committee may also take up any matter with respect to the inappropriate, unethical, immoral behavior of the members within the both houses of the parliament, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So this is another function of the ethics committee of the respective houses. And apart from that, it may be for the alleged unethical behavior or breach of code of conduct. Okay, so as I have already told you that every house has the code of conduct, and ethics committee plays a very important role in laying down the code of conduct for the members in each of these houses, right? So therefore it may be for the alleged unethical behavior or code of conduct by the member or alleged incorrect information. So for all these purposes, the ethics committee can look into the issue, and it can also recommend certain punishment on these grounds as well. And after that, it can also recommend punishment for the malpractices, right? So the committee can recommend imposition of one or more sanctions, like sanctions in the sense that censure, reprimand, and suspension for a specific period of time. So the committee can also recommend these type of punishments to the members on the following grounds. Okay, so this is all about the ethics committee in Lok Sabha and ethics committee of the Rajya Sabha and its functions, right? So this is a very important topic. And next we will briefly talk about the ozone layer as well. Right, so in recent times there were reports that were suggesting that ozone layer over the Antarctica has been recovering. So that is a positive sign, that is a positive indication, and thanks to the Montreal Protocol. Okay, so Montreal Protocol. So for what purpose this Montreal Protocol was established? The purpose was prevention of the ozone depleting gases, and their usage, right? So this is the major objective of Montreal Protocol, and we can say that the Montreal Protocol is successfully implemented by most of the countries. So when I say ozone, the molecular formula of ozone is O3. So this essentially means that it involves 3 oxygen atoms, so which sits in our planet's stratosphere. So if you understand the atmosphere, so this is the lowermost layer is troposphere, and followed by the troposphere it is stratosphere, right? Stratosphere. So in the stratosphere we can found the ozone layer. So what is the function of the ozone layer? Ozone layer essentially prevents the harmful UV rays entering into the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so therefore it filters the harmful UV rays in the stratosphere, so thereby ensuring that there is a life on this planet. Okay, so it is situated between 15 to 30 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Clear? And secondly, they are constantly formed and destroyed in the atmosphere. So ozone is not permanent, it is not stable, rather it is constantly formed and destroyed in the atmosphere, right? And ozone layer very often absorbs a portion of the radiation from the sun, so that is in the UV rays. Okay, so it absorbs a portion of radiation from the sun, and it also prevents the UV radiation reaching the earth, so that might harm living beings. How it harm the living beings? So for example, causing skin cancers and reducing the productivity of plants and impacting the biological activities of the wildlife. So therefore it could harm the life on this planet. So therefore this ozone has been playing a very important role, right? So after that, the total amount of ozone in the layer would remain constant over a period of time. If there are no human induced impacts on this. Okay, so for example, human beings are not releasing the ozone depleting gases into the atmosphere, then we can largely say that the ozone layer would remain constant. So however, because of the release of ozone depleting gases, what has been happening, ozone hole has been forming in the ozone layer, and that led to the entering of harmful UV rays into the atmosphere. Okay, so human made chemicals releases such as bromine, chlorine, atoms, so those atoms react with the ozone and breaks it down. So thus the rate of destruction becomes faster than the rate of creation of the ozone. So however, in recent times we see that there is a repair, the faster repair of ozone has been taking place. This Montreal Protocol of 1989 has, so this was came into existence in 1989, the Montreal Protocol, right? So this Montreal Protocol of 1989 brought together world governments to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the ozone depleting substances. So please remember ozone protocol with respect to the Montreal Protocol with respect to the ozone layer, and also understand this phenomena that chemicals such as bromine and chlorine, they are reacting with the ozone layer. So when they react with the ozone layer, they are breaking this ozone, they are breaking this ozone layer. So therefore these chemicals have been causing a lot of destruction, and it has become faster and creating ozone hole. So that could result in, the ozone hole will probably leads to the excessive UV rays, and that could also harm the living beings in the planet. Okay, so this is all about the ozone layer, and I hope you get some information from both these issues, both these news articles. Thank you.